Hello everybody, it's your boy Farham. We're here with some Path of Exile. We're making absolute stonks in the trade window today. But we are here to show off the Triple Herald CI Monk. The breach clearing, delirium smashing, boss bullying. I'm out of words. Let's get into this build. It's really good. It's really fun as well. It's really satisfying to play and I would strongly recommend it. This is the sort of mid-budget, moving into the item rarity side of things. Do keep that in mind if you're looking for a lower budget build. I've got lower budget builds, they're all linked. In fact, it's kind of a journey to go from the low budget build to here that we've been taking. So there's all those series linked. Let's get into this. I hope you enjoy it. All right then, guys, let's talk about this passive tree. And I'll try and cover off where there's a little bit of optionality and where I think you could make some changes really based on your playstyle. We'll start off with the major ascendancies. So we're going to be grabbing Lead Me Through Grace. This is how we get all our spirit. Very important. You need the spirit. To fit the build at this point, you need 120. But if you can get more, then you can move a few things around. If you can get an unset ring, then you can really invest a little bit more. And you can probably take Grim Feast back, or you could do something funny with Charge Staff. But for that, you need more spirit. But make sure you've got a chest that's giving you 120 spirit through Lead Me Through Grace. We need to grab that. Meditate, I think, is where we've got our optionality. You definitely want to take I Am the Thunder through to And I Shall Rage. And then if you've got big pole energy, you should probably take I Am the Blizzard instead of Faith as a choice. I like Faith as a choice because I like to pop that before bosses, before I open breaches, before I pop expeditions. Before I pop things where if I'm a bit slow or click on the wrong mob, it's going to result in the character dying. Meditate normally covers for those situations. However, I Am the Blizzard will mean you just kill things about 10% faster. So it's nice. Although this build is one-shotting pretty much everything for the content we're doing. So you don't need it for what we're doing. It's more just for you want to bragging rights to sit. You can. It does work. I've tested it. It does work. There's not enough defensibility in the playstyle for me, but that is a change you can consider making here. And thanks to comments for that suggestion. Do try the things you guys suggest, and talk about them in the later videos. Some good ones in there. Looking at the tree, not much has changed at the start. We're still coming through. We're grabbing Flow Like Water, Step Like Mist, Essence of the Mountain, Mindful Awareness, Flow State, Crashing Wave. Coming up and grabbing Moment of Truth, Immaterial. Grabbing Killer Instinct, because remember this works with CI and we get both the 30 and 50% bonus at the same time. So this is actually an 80% attack node. It's massive. We're coming up here for this gem slot while also grabbing True Strike for the Jugular and Deadly Force. Then we come up, grab these crit nodes up here, Careful Assassin, crit and freeze nodes, Careful Assassin, Thin Ice, Heavy Frost. We grab CI, of course. Come all the way up for Patient Barrier. That's a huge energy shield up there. Then we come down, we grab these 3 crit nodes for going to Throat Seeker. We grab Martial Archery here. I do believe we need that accuracy rating, but the damage bonus and dexterity is largely going to be needed here anyway. Come down and grab Coming Calamity. We're now running 3 Heralds, so we're getting 50% of all. Although our fire damage is very tiny, we still get 50% more of it. Our fire damage is doing something else to increase the damage of the cold and lightning. Then we come down and grab Heart Stopping, Struck Through, and Heartbreaking. We are a crit-based attack build at the end of the day. We're just using heavy elemental herald support. Coming up off the other side of the monk start, we're heading towards the witch area. We are still grabbing Critical Exploit, Melding, Insightfulness, round to Dampening Shield, and Pure Energy. That's sorting out all of our energy shield, sorting us out with some intelligence. Again, this is needed for gear, as well as a little bit more crit. So the new nodes that have been worked in the nodes that have been worked out as we've gone through to this iteration are up here. We've taken off a little bit of energy shield, but we've sorted that out with investing a little bit more into our gear. Taken off some attack speed. And we've taken that off, and these 2 nodes here, and we're maximizing now that we're running 3 heralds. So we're taking the increased elemental damage round to Echoing Frost, increased elemental damage if we've chilled recently. Echoing Thunder, increased elemental damage if we've shocked recently. And Echoing Flames, increased elemental damage if you've ignited an enemy recently. So it's very easy to get all 3 of those off when you're mapping, because you're causing all 3 of those status effects through the herald all the time. And there is a way you can get this off with the build on single target, although I'm not entirely sure how reliable it is. It seems okay once you get the bell down. I think at that point there's enough hits to trigger it, and then you get 4 seconds with that 30%. It seems quite strong. However, we're having to do a lot of these nodes are damage on effect. My weapon's not so great, but our damage is now showing up at 132k on the eye strike. I know you can get that up to about 300k. I've seen a lot of that would come from the weapon and a few more skill points as well. Critical strike skill points now are worth an awful lot to this tree. So my recommendation for extension would probably be to go into these nodes here. Possibly grabbing quarterstaff speed and whirling assault. You would have to see what those nodes did, but this is how I think the tree should be sitting at 93. This gives us well-rounded defense and a really, really solid speed offense. So, let's get onto the gear. We'll start off still in the passive tree, because there's some quite important pieces of gear in the passive tree here that you need to shop around and pick up the right things. And there's a couple of gems that you want. You basically want emeralds, and you'll want a single ruby. From the emeralds, you want to be looking for things like increased evasion rating, crit hit chance for attacks, damage with quarterstaves, sort of thing. You also want to be looking for maybe attack speed with quarterstaves. And if you can get them, this was one that was a little bit bricked, but that's got 4 good modifiers. Attacks, damage with attack, critical chance for attacks, damage with attacks, attack speed with quarterstaves, and Herald skills deal increased damage. They're kind of pricey though. And then you want to make sure you get 1 ruby, and this is rather important. You want to make sure you get one with gain 1 rage on melee hit. You also want to see if you can get increased attack and melee damage. That will help eye strike, and you can grab one with the increased chance to ignite. That will help us with our proliferation of ignite in single target. Although again, debatable as to exactly how easy it is to get that up with the amount of fire damage we're doing. But let's talk a little bit about the rest of the gear. So at this point, we want to be swapping over into more rarity. We're strong enough that we can blast through the map, so at this point we want to be maximizing what we're getting out of those maps, right? We want to be able to get as much currency as we can with this build so that we can invest more and get more out of it and go around basically killing pinnacle bosses in 4 seconds. That's what we want to get. I say 4 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. The pinnacle bosses won't be doing much to us, right? We'll be getting rid of them very, very quickly. But on the gear, so had a bit of a whoopsie with my weapon the other day. It's clipped, it's made into a short, and it's on a live stream, but I threw it on the floor and then I died in a map. But so we've brought a new weapon. You still want to be looking for something like this, potentially a little bit better at this point. Most of your DPS is going to come from the weapon. I can recommend that if you're looking for a weapon, that Don the Crown has a spreadsheet available and tool available that will let you see the exact impact of a weapon on your DPS. Largely, you want to be looking for large crit hit chance, massive physical damage. All physical damage gets converted to elemental through Ice Strike anyway, so physical damage, I believe, is the best to go. The reason for that is other elemental damages will get cut in half by the runes we put in Ice Strike, by the support gems we put in Ice Strike. So physical damage really is what you want to go for, as high as you can get there. Even if you need attributes, I wouldn't recommend trying to get them on the weapon. The weapon's too important for other stats, but get them quite cheap with an attribute on. So as you're trying to go into the sort of mid-investment, something like this might be what you want to look at. But really do check to make sure that these weapons are going to be DPS upgrades, because sometimes it looks like they will from the fizz damage, and it won't be from things like crit chance or increased attack speed, or in fact crit bonus damage. Crit bonus damage is actually from the weapon is being multiplied by other crit bonus damage on your character. So if you had 400% crit bonus, 500% crit bonus, let's say, and then you had 12% on your weapon, you would end up with 560% crit bonus. This is massive. That's why the stat's very expensive. You can so consider that that's actually worth quite a lot. Moving on to the gloves, I've changed these to an energy shield base. I do not recommend that. You want to keep a bit of evasion. Try and keep these as an evasion base if you can. However, what you want to try and grab here is fire damage to attacks. You can grab this on one of the rings as well, but if you've sort of been building along to the dual herald, then up to the triple herald, it'll probably might fit better on the gloves, depending on how you copied the items, or if you copied the items. But you want to get some fire damage somewhere. From the gloves, you also want to get things like cold damage. That's good. This is another place we can squeeze a bit of rarity on, so I got some rarity here. Increased attack speed and leech is also good. If you can get increased melee skills, that's probably better than the leech. But having a bit of leech does help keep stability when you're going through breaches. It stops you having to press your mana potion. But you've got a mana potion, right? So if you can swap the leech out with some more damage bonus here, that's good. Looking at the helmet, kept pure energy shield base. I do believe that's best for the helmet because of how high the energy shields can go there. We've gone for max energy shield as much as we can. and managed to squeeze in a bit of rarity here too, as well as topping off our resistances. You can get more rarity on this. We don't need that mana. That could have also been a rarity roll, but again, looking at expense there, they does start to get quite expensive. But picking up things that have got sort of 20, 30% rarity across most pieces, just one slot, that seems to be quite affordable, and it does have a tangible impact. So looking at the neck, this was a very good roll for rarity. This was actually one we, I think we made this ourselves. But we've got all energy shield bonuses. That's great. That replaces the neck we had before, which was taking us up to about the 6.3k shield mark. Dropped about 400 shield with this neck, which was deemed acceptable. Capped off our resistances, or kept our resistances capped off, and then managed to get big rarity. This is a place you can get big rarity, but consider that the neck is also a place where you can get big damage. So if we don't need that 10% fire resistance, you can pick up, I think, crit bonus damage again can appear on neck. So that would be an interesting choice to take here if you wanted to squeeze out a bit more DPS. On rings, we've got one ring that is pure damage. So this one is getting both cold damage modifiers, 2 resistances, and giving us some more leech. Rings are a great place to get some rarity. If you can get gold ring bases, you're just going to get it from the implicit, which is good. So if you can try and get it on the rings. And this is, I needed the extra DPS, so I picked up a heavy DPS ring. We do have a ring that is rarity based, which we can wear, but it really does affect the DPS. That ring is about 10%. I just prefer to wear the ring at the moment, but yeah, if there's not a boss in the map, sometimes I remember to switch to the Magic Find ring. But yeah, you want to be looking for Magic Find rarity on your rings. This again doesn't have much rarity on it, so once we get the Ingenuity, it won't be doing an awful lot. But you want to be getting cold damage and cold damage to attacks as well. You can get double rarity with cold damage and cold damage to attacks, as well as what any resistances and attributes you need. That's really what you should be looking for on the rings there. On the belt, until you get something like an Ingenuity, grabbing a +2 charm slot belt so that you can run freezing, charm, and then a rarity charm. Freezing stun, and then a rarity charm is a good idea, as well as any resistances you need. Extra mana's good here. You don't need life for anything, so something that looks like that you can pick up fairly cheap, and it's going to do you a good job of stopping certain effects from hitting you. Then on the boots, this is somewhere else you could definitely squeeze in Magic Find. I have not done so yet, but I would prioritize the 35% movement speed. You spend a lot of time running around, right? The faster you're doing that, the faster you're going to get through your maps. That's almost as good as rarity. Speed and clear speed is a big part of it too, right? But if you can get some rarity on the boots, they're a very, very, very good spot. So there's that open place too. This is really how you want to be building the character, to be able to clear tier 15s with 27% Delirious, breaches, and whatever boss is in there. You'll be able to do the bosses relatively quickly, so long as they don't have horrible like ice resistance modifiers, and you take in, and so long as you roll your keys appropriately, you'll be having a good time. You'll be clearing through the maps really quickly, and there'll be a showcase of that at the end. But let's have a little look before that showcase at what we've done with the skill gems to fit in this third Herald. So skills change a little bit. We've invested a little bit more as well. It's the sort of time when you start getting your perfect Jeweler's Orbs, either by dropping them because you're a lucky little exile, or by buying them from Alva because you're a greedy little exile. The choice really is yours. Well, I guess Lady Luck has a hand in it. But in Unbound Avatar, we're still running Persistence and Cold, Fire, and Lightning Mastery. Cold and Lightning Mastery with 2 perfect Jeweler's Orbs would be moving to their respective Heralds. But at the moment, I don't have those perfect orbs, so they're sitting here. So consider that if you've got more divines than me, you can move Cold and Lightning out of here for just a tiny bit more damage increase on the clear. On Meditate, we're still running Second Wind, Arcane Tempo, and Ingenuity. Second Wind really is a feeling thing. I sometimes double press the button in a panic. If you're not incompetent like me, then it's probably better not to run Second Wind, so optionality there. On Tempest Bell, we're running Overabundance so that we can get 2 bells out at once with this attack speed. That's not a problem. Heft for the extra physical damage, it's big. Heavy Swing for the extra physical damage, it's big, and the attack speed really doesn't affect it. Font of Rage so that we're generating rage alongside. This helps us keep topped up with rage in single target fights really, really nicely for that extra 30% damage boost. And what we've put in for our 5th slot, and I think this is working really, really well. It's Close Combat. It increases the mana cost of the bell, but I haven't found it to increase it to the point where I need to drink my mana potion. So it feels fine, and the mana potion's still there if we do need it. So That's feeling like a really big scaling damage, and the bells are already always right on top of the bosses, so it's just good. Anyway, next up we've got Ice Strike. Hasn't changed. It's running Martial Tempo, Ice Bite, Primal Armament, Cold Infusion, and Concentrated Effect. Then we've got Hand of Chiola, still sitting at 3. I always forget to press the button. I really should just swap this out for something else. But anyway, just grab Charge Staff or something and put Power Charges on the build as well somehow. Get 2 more levels. But anyway, I digress. Got Hand of Chiola running Hypothermia, Freezing Mark, and Heightened Curse. This is for your single target damage. It lowers cold resistance. Pretty good. If you remember to press the button, it's pretty good. Next up, we've got our first Herald. So this in its 5th slot would have Cold Mastery, but we've got Herald of Ice running Magnified Effect, Lightning Infusion, Conduction, and Innovate. And that is because Herald of Ice is there to shock. It's there to proliferate Herald of Lightning. Herald of Lightning is proliferating Herald of Ice because we're not using Portal. That silly ring. Got rid of the ring. We sold the rings. Next up, we've got our first, and oh no, not our first and only. We've got 2 defensive auras left, but we're still running Wind Dancer, which we're running with Blind, Culling Strike, and Cold Exposure. Of course, Blind, Culling Strike, and Cold Exposure. I've still got this at a level 14. I need to level it up. Level your gems. Don't be me. These 3 gems affect the Gale Force strike that happens when you're hit. In fact, you know what? I'm kind of ashamed that my gem is level 14. I'm actually ashamed. Also ashamed I can't spell the word spirit. I mean, F's in the chat for me, right? Is the name of the channel after all. Let's get that upgraded. So, and Wind Dancer's right there. Look, wow. It's actually significantly better. There's an extra 4% evasion, and we get them faster. Okay, so make sure you upgrade your skills. Anyway, we've got Wind Dancer running with Blind, Culling Strike, and Cold Exposure to support the attack. Next up, we've got Elemental Invocations. This is what we use to do the ring my bell. We've got that socketed with Ball Lightning, Deceleration, Scattershot, and Impetus. So you build up energy, you put the bells down, you dump this spell that casts all of the stored Ball Lightnings at once and just blow up. It's fantastic. Keep Ball Lightning at level 11. You don't need it to be any higher than that, and it does help with the mana costs. We don't run a huge mana pool. There's no point in leveling it up. The lightning damage from this is not relevant. Next up, we've got one of our changes, or our change. We've got Herald of Ash running now, which I've just stuck Clarity in so it didn't look lonely. You can put Clarity in Ghost Dance if you want Herald of Ash to feel lonely. But how Herald of Ash works is, when active, enemies you sufficiently overkill with attacks, that's Ice Strike, that's Herald of Ice, that's Herald of Lightning, so all of their attacks, will explode and ignite enemies. So that is how we are getting the 30% ignite damage off of our tree from changes we've made to take the elemental ring near the witch side. This is pretty nice. And it looks fun. It makes everything a nice colour. It's not quite so dark and dreary anymore. Got a splash of colour in it. So we grab this. It ignites enemies, and the ignite does a little bit of damage, and it's not. It's fine. It works fine. For some reason, it says it gives us increased mana regeneration 60%, even though that's only 30%, which I'm assuming is a tooltip buff and not something I've stumbled onto and why I'm not having mana problems. But anyway, next up we've got Ghost Dance. So this gives us Ghost Shrouds, which only operate actually when Meditate is off, or when we're down to lower than max shield. But that's fine. You kind of want it to only happen then. I mean, it does consume the charges when you've got the Meditate shields up, but if you're running away and these shards are generating and your shield's low, that's why you're running away, then these things will keep you topped up from any ranged hits that hit you. I prefer this personally to Grim Feast, but Grim Feast will keep you topped up to the max for longer. This activates and keeps you safe when you need it. It's a personal choice. Run whichever one you want there. Last up, we've got Herald of Thunder, so a triple Herald set. This is designed to freeze, so this is run Glaciation, Long Shot, Ambush, and Cold Penetration, just trying to make sure it gets all its cold damage through and gets those freed modifiers. It's now sitting at quite a tasty 1,488 main hand cold damage, so I've not had any problem with proliferating the freeze since getting the number up to here. In fact, it's even proliferating through the delirium, and it feels really, really comfortable. Also got a nice, tasty 420% crit damage bonus on this. The only thing I can't find on this page, I don't think, is the 69, but there we go. Can't have it all. So that's what we've done with the skills, and they're working really well. It's really, really juicy. And someone wants to buy my map that I'm selling for 1 exalt. What a lucky boy. Let's get on and showcase this thing. Got the juiced up maps that I think this is very good at running. I want to show how it clears. Show a bit of boss fighting with it as well. If I can press all the buttons in the right order, it'll be a great showcase of it killing bosses. As long as the boss doesn't get some horrible modifier. Hopefully it doesn't get a horrible modifier. And hopefully I press all the buttons. But let's find out. So this Waystone has got Delirium on it for pack size. It's got more... What you really want here on your map is quantity and rarity, but I'm using Orbs of Sinistral Alchemy to roll my maps, and it rolled like this, so I'm running it. If you get ones with quantity and rarity on, it's even better. It's just so good. That's what you definitely want to be looking for. You can even buy them on the auction house, on the trade website, so do keep an eye on those. People do sell them. They're reasonably expensive, but you can get them pre-packaged. But you want to look for something that's got quantity, rarity, and you want to be stacking up all your precursor towers for quantity, rarity. Because we're running breaches, I put some breach stuff in there as well, like increased monster breach density and a few things like that, just because I had some nice 10 slot precursor tablets that had quantity or rarity on them, and they had either a breach thing. So that in they went. But anyway, let's get this opened up. So monster level 80. I've got +1 monster level, so it's technically like a T16 with 27% Delirious. Hopefully I don't throw my weapon on the floor. But we shouldn't be doing silly things like that, should we? We're professional PoE players. We don't throw our weapons on the floor. We would never do such things. So we basically just kill everything to have a good time. Delirium monsters are a little bit easy, a little bit annoying. For the loot filter that's on, by the way, big shout out to Don the Crown and his community. I have borrowed his loot filter that he's got available on his Discord server, and it is very good, and it is very clean, and we only see the things that we are interested in, which is good, because that was part of how I managed to get myself in a spot of bother the other day. But anyway, I digress. We have mapping to do, and explosions to cause. And simulacrum splinters to pick up. I don't want the siphoning one. I just want to cause huge chain explosions. I just want everything to crumble under the weight of our 3 elements, of our 3 heralds, the triple herald CI build. This guy's been to university. He's got all the letters after his name. HOA, HOT, HOF, or whatever it is. I can't remember. HO everything. And CI, of course. Can't forget about CI. Love a CI build. Love Energy Shield. It makes me laugh. Monk's in a great place for it as well. I feel like GGG have put a lot of work into their flagship new class that's come out. Perhaps a little bit more so than the others. The Monk feels really smooth to play. I'm absolutely loving it. Been loving the build. It's been great to invest currency in. It's been great to grow, and I would strongly recommend it. Don't die there. So I bound meditate to 2 keys, because if I hit the wrong key when panicking, that's probably not going to be good. Oh, a greater essence of flames. We've probably just made some cash money. So you can see there is a lot of loot, but we've just got it all filtered out. I think it will still show level 20 skill gems. Sure though. Hope so. I won't have to buy those. Mostly because they're not for sale. I've only ever seen 1 drop in 250 hours. The Delirium does make monsters quite a bit stronger, and it does affect your defences as well, so lowers your defences. I can't remember by exactly how much, but be careful with how much Delirium you put in. Around 27% just feels good. Feels right. It's going to be a single breach run. Feels a bit like a single breach run, doesn't it? Smells a bit like a single breach run. The bosses literally on top of each other. This could be quite the showcase. Let's get our shield up. He's got extra energy shield, so this is going to take a little while longer than it should. So this is the extra energy shield being annoying here. The extra energy shield is now done. And now the boss is done. Now the boss would have been done basically in 1.5 thingies, but, you know. You know. Game decides to do us a bit like that, and just have to sort of lay there and take it and say, how much more have you got there, sir? And then they just keep giving it to us. But there we go, we can now probably clear into there for the breach. That's good. We wouldn't have wanted to take the breach in there with the boss. Although it might have been funny to blow up 1,000,000 breach monsters on him and blow him up with that. That would have possibly been hilarious. But it also might have not worked. Where is, okay, somnophobia is just around. Right, let's just go for the breach. Have a good time. Where did I put it? Over here. I should have probably put the shield on, but I don't know if we need to. You can see the pure lag as we blow up the breach, but we've got all the loot turned off. It's still super laggy. That's a very small ribbit there that we can't run over, and I couldn't really see the map very well. There's some fire and stuff going on. It's not good, not good. Let's try and shield up. Okay, we should just be able to just blast through. Can always use that meditate to grab back a bit of shield as long as you can put a little bit of distance, so I was standing in some fire or similar. It's okay. Just don't stand in fire. You're normally okay. And there we go. It's quite a lot of loot from a breach that I did probably about 2/3 of. We got to one side of it. We got to two sides of it, but there would have been quite a bit around there that I probably didn't get. So, expert slicing quartz scarfs, obviously we're making... Those are very big. If we can try and craft those into a better one. That's not my choice. That's not my loot filter, but it's very good, and it suits exactly what I want to be doing with this character, funnily enough. The thing is, Don is also playing Monk, but the double Herald Monk with an evasion base. Pretty interesting build. Very strong. Some great stuff out there. Some great spreadsheets and calculators for working out your best weapon and things. So if you're into that, I'd suggest going and check that out. It's awesome. Very, very good. 10 out of 10. Anyway, that's enough glazing from me. Let's go back to picking up all of our loot. So it's much easier to loot with this filter. We literally pretty much want to pick up everything. I can't be asked to craft the rings. But yeah, so we missed some guys over here. That's generally because I panicked a bit. We got hit by something up here. I stood in some sort of fire. Unclear exactly which. And yeah, we can come back and just pick up loads of Crescent Quarterstaffs and just try and craft fizz-based Crescent Quarterstaffs for ourselves. See if we can get a better one. Oh, and an emerald. Easy to see. There could still be more breaches. That might not be our only breach. Oh yeah, I should have put the shield on. The double shield. How do we get up there? Why are you being like this game? It's a flicker strike. Oh god. That wasn't fun. What are you doing? You're doing something I didn't like. Little fellas with... I'm starting to think that probably getting ES EV bases for the gloves and boots would be a good idea. I don't think they need to be pure ES. I think the energy shield at 5.5k is fine, but having that extra 10% evasion, or it might come up to about 10%, depending on how good your bases were, would be quite useful. So I would suggest making that change. You see me taking sometimes a chain of hits, particularly from ranged monsters, which can... yeah. Not the best. That happens. How do we get up here? This area that's just sort of blocked off. There's going to be a long way round up there. Well, there was a rare we missed back here, so I'm going to go kill that. But... oh, of course, because it's a pile of rocks on the floor. However could we have known? We're going to go and check up to see if there's literally just a bit of map they've just decided that we're not allowed to go to. But you can see from the loot, we got 43 splinters, 14 simulacrum splinters, 10 flat exalteds, chaos orb, alchemy orbs, regal val orbs. You're making a fair profit running the maps like this. It was 11 11 exalts. It was 8 for the sinister. You can't get up there, can you? There's a whole part of this map that you can't get to. It's not normal. There are enemies up there, look. What if there had been a rare up there? What if that had been a mirror? How do I get up there? What? Well, at least I managed to get that exalt, but... What? Guys, every time I try and record a showpiece, something strange happens. So here you go, you can spawn Rust Bowl with just a chunk of the map that you can't get to. There's a Mulgrim Splinter up there, that's a whole exalted orb! What a joke! If someone tells me there's some bit I've missed that you can clearly get up there, Farham, then by all means tell me in the comments, but I don't believe there is. So yeah, as you can see, like the loot filter's nice and clean, gets the breaches done quick. The more breaches you get, the better. Quantities really seems to help the number of breach splinters, by the way, hence piling the quantity on those tablets. But this is a showcase of the triple Herald build. It's pretty strong. With better items, it's going to be even stronger, of course. And with a few more levels on the skill tree, I think we could... I don't know, I'm umming and ahhing about going for more defenses. But at the same time, I'm also thinking... like, just fill out the crit nodes. Fill out the crit nodes, they're going to end up being the best. Like the crit nodes down here from the quarterstaffs and the attack speed. Filling this back out with the last levels probably would be the best thing to do. But yeah, it's got a good base, good investment. You can get a lot of magic find on this, which is what all the rage is, of course, getting that rarity on your items. I've stacked this up quite a lot, and it seems to be working very, very well into some pretty juicy endgame content. The Delirium can make it a bit scary. If you find the Delirium scary, just run it with just 2 on there, or just don't use the Delirium at all. But Delirium doesn't affect the drop rate of your splinters, it just adds in the extra simulacrum stuff, so, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, it really has helped, and I hope you've enjoyed these guides and these little playthroughs that I've put through, and I hope you maybe learned something or picked something up, and I've certainly picked things up from the things you guys have said in the comments, so it's been great. Thank you very much, and hope to catch you in the next one.